afraid not.
They think they got him.
No, ain't nobody is.
On the way back. Y'all do.
I don't know. That's kind of hard to stop it once it starts.
It sounds like horrible stuff.
Mortality rates,
Yeah,
it's
100%.
close to it.
Yeah.
Come on, what are you doing?
That's the core.
If you'd not, you were going to be
That's right.
warn the people, not us. You'd have warned the world.
Technology, come on, technology.
They tell us nothing.
That is an understatement of the day.
Like mushrooms.
Technology acting up on me.
I think John got
The-
the email he had on read.
July meeting of the Solid Waste Authority will now come to order. Let us pray. Eternal God, our Father, we thank you for the blessings of this day. We thank you for taking us through it. We ask now, Father, as we engage in this meeting, that you, our Father, would lead us with your Holy Spirit, that we, our Father, might be cordial one with the other, that we might conduct the business as we should, and that we do, our Father, that which is best for the citizens of Horry County. It's in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledged by Mr. Thompson.
Pledge your allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is all the information for this meeting gone out? Okay. You have agenda in front of you. Can we get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second that we accept the agenda for this meeting. Any discussion? All those in favor make it known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes? Ayes have it, so ordered. We have 3 sets of minutes for approval, the June 30th regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second that we approve the minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a statement on one of the minutes, June 30th. Can I do that?
Yes.
If you would, please. In the June 30th minutes, I'd like to see a correction. Mr. Gray said that there was a quorum when we went down to see the Repower South demonstration, and there was not a quorum. And I'd like to see that corrected, if we would. Now, also, Mr. Gray made a statement that when we went to Columbia lobbying, that there was a quorum on those trips, and that is incorrect also. And I'd like to see that corrected.
Any objections?
Yes,
Please state your objection.
he has no evidence.
Mr. Gray, Mr. Chairman, please.
Yes.
On the Repower, we took a van.
Speak in your microphone.
Right.
Chairman.
We took a van. There were Mike Bussett was driving. Mr. Jones sat in the passenger seat. It was a 3-seated van, and you said you couldn't hear, so we put you in the next seat so you could hear the conversation. And Danny Knight and I sat in the 3rd seat. And there was no other board members there.
That's correct.
So that's the proof there. Now, I'm going to Columbia.
We just have a different memory, and I would appreciate it if you'd follow the rules and address the chairman
Okay,
instead
I'll
of looking at me.
Appreciate
Well,
that.
that's fine. And you were the one that objected.
Mr.
and I-
Campbell,
Yes, sir.
address the chair.
Okay, thank you. But that's correct, Mr. Chair. So, I mean, there were 5 of us in the van. 3 of us were board members. And that's the only people that went. So that's proof enough there. And going to Columbia, I never saw more than 3 board members there in our lobbying efforts. If he has some proof there, I'd like to hear it or I'd like to see it.
Mr. Jones?
I went on both the trips, the lobbying effort and that, and there was never more than 3 board members there. Me being one of them. I was there.
Can anyone from staff provide additional evidence on the situation?
Mr. Chairman, I think
I think that's correct. The Waldeboro, I remember distinctly that was the three that was mentioned. And we'd always been real concerned about the quorum situation. So I think Mr. Campbell's correct.
Because the chair needs to have a substitute motion that we make that amendment into the minutes, the correction into the minutes at this point.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Well, substitute don't need a second. All those in favor of the substitute motion, make it known by saying.
Did I get to?
Just a moment. Just a moment. All those in favor of the substitute motion, excuse me, any discussion?
Well, it looks like Mr. Jones and Mr. Campbell have done their homework and compared notes and not bothered to ask me anything, and have the information they want presented, and are going to get the changes to the minutes that they want to have changed. So, so be it.
First of all, they're not required to speak with you regarding the issue to begin with. But there's a motion on the floor. All those in favor make it known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes?
No.
Ayes have it, so ordered. June 30th annual meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor make it known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes? Ayes have it. July 10th workshop.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor make it known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes? Ayes have it. So ordered. Public input. Chair not having been notified of any, not recognizing any. We'll move to departmental reports and updates, recycling and corporate affairs. Ms. Murphy.
Good evening.
Hello.
My report begins on page 22. I'm going to start with the update on the 2014-2015 Talking Trash campaign. Excuse me 1 second. Thank you. Each year before we embark upon a new Talking Trash campaign, we actually set out proposals and request, thank you very much. I like it when somebody knows exactly what I'm looking for. Okay, need some cushion. No feedback. We set out proposals to ask local television stations as well as production companies to submit proposals for the Talking Trash campaign. This year, we did such. June 30th through the 2nd of July, we received presentations from these groups, and staff subsequently sat down independently and then as a group to review the proposals. This is our 15th year of Talking Trash, and we've been running pretty steady. We've had some peaks, we've had some drops, but for the most part, we've run consistent. This year, we received a proposal from Motion Works Multimedia in conjunction with Time Warner Cable and HTC that put a new outlook on the Talking Trash campaign. There were some key components to their proposal, one of which you all experienced this evening when you got here, and that was the red carpet treatment. Another key element, and probably one of the most important elements of the proposal, was the ability to advertise and promote this campaign on multiple channels as opposed to one single station. That pretty much broadens the scope of who we're reaching. One other element gave us the ability to pretty much focus in on the cable component, which channels we wanted to have a presence on. And that gave us the ability to kind of pinpoint stations that we knew or believed the students in our age range, 10 to 12-year-olds, would be watching. The group MotionWorks is headed up by Mr. Brent Justice, and I'm going to ask Brent to come up in a moment and just say a couple of words to you. And we've worked with Brent in the past, as well as Michael Hucks and Rob Hatchell, who will be our spokesperson. We've worked with all of them in the past on other Talking Trash campaigns because they all have the experience in working with a local television station. Everything that they brought to the table, for the most part, was a new and eye-opening proposal, one that we hadn't seen before. So that was, for the most part, the primary reasons why they were selected as our Talking Trash partners this year. We met this afternoon to have our first initial jumpstart kickoff meeting. We met for about 2 hours this afternoon. And the one plus in their realm is we are definitely important to them, and we are a priority to them. So we appreciate them proposing and appreciate what they're bringing to the table, and we're looking forward to a very successful year this year. But I did want to give Brent just a moment to introduce himself and just give you some thoughts on what he plans for this year. Come on up, Brent.
Hi, gang. I met you independently, almost one by one, with my cell phone camera, so I'm sure that was a nice way to introduce ourselves. My name is Brent Justice, MotionWorks Multimedia, and like Esther said, we did have a chance to build a really cool proposal this year. One of which the ideas we thought about was making it current as of 2014. If Talking Trash started today, if this year, what are some of the components that we would need to make it driven for youth, accessible, and shareable? And those three things we've covered with a Facebook page, YouTube channels, custom-built website. We're going to the cable outlets that we feel that children most watch, and the red carpet treatment. So we're actively engaging kids, actively asking them to share content. We have a portal, if you will, to have an open dialogue about recycling, not just sending the message, but receiving the message as well. And just to begin, we begin on the recruitment video this week, the website video this week, and are on track to start as soon as August 11th. So really excited about working with Michael Hucks. Michael has worked on the campaign in the past several years at WMBF, as well as Rob Hatchell. Rob Hatchell has actually been the spokesperson in the past too. So with all of our kind of powers combined, coming together as one unified force and able to share the message over more than just one network. And having to do with cable. And those kind of fun shareable pictures. We can actually share those tonight too, so you might see those on Facebook. So be forewarned. You might be tagged. But just really quickly, just want to say thank you for having us, and we look forward to a successful 2014-2015 year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for having us. Thank y'all. Appreciate it. The next update I want to give you is on the MRF camera system. Back in earlier this year, the board approved us moving forward with installing cameras at the MRF. Just as a little history, a little background, when the new MRF facility was originally constructed in 2008, one of the items that we wanted to put in the facility was a camera system. Our budget did not allow us to do so. And as you're trimming budgets and looking at things that you have to have versus things you would like to have, the camera system came off the table. But the purpose of the camera system was to allow the ability, primarily for children, to be able to see what happens beyond the first container room. When they're on the platform, they can see the incoming material, they can see the first container room, but they really can't see beyond that point. So the purpose of the camera system was to allow them to be able to see and follow that material through the end of the line, whether it's going into a container room, a newspaper room, whether it's glass going out to the glass bunker, just to kind of give them a complete view of what's happening at that facility. We did begin installation in March, completed it late June, early July. The tying into the system, into the internet and making sure everything worked took a little longer than anticipated, but everything is up and working now. There are a total of 22 cameras at the facility, 16 within the building, primarily focusing on the processing line. And then there are 6 cameras on the perimeter of the building that looks at whether it's the loading dock, the scale, or the electronics shelter. So we've taken use of it, and we'll definitely use it this upcoming school year with all our tours and things coming to the MRF. Another update, just wanted to give you a little update on our glass recycling with regard to the aggregate and the sand and how much we're producing, how much we're selling, and to kind of look back over the last couple of fiscal years. For the most part, our processing is maintaining. It's been just a slight growth in it. But for the aggregate, we're just about turning over whatever we're producing is going out. And most of the aggregate is going out to be used as landscaping. The sand is not as, it's not doing as good as the other. We had one primary customer who was utilizing the sand, and that was the landfill division. And when we put in the new cleanup system, we took all the sand that wasn't as clean as our new sand and gave it to the landfill to use at no cost. And that was the end of fiscal year 13, which allowed them not to need to buy any in fiscal year 14. So I'm hoping they've gotten rid of all of it so they can buy some in fiscal year 15. It's a revenue stream for us, so we like to see everybody spending money on glass. I did want to share with you just a couple of pictures. We hear about our glass being used, and we have had the opportunity to have the pictures shared with us. Some of the pictures that's included in your packet are from a residence that's on Red Bluff Road in the Red Bluff community. And the family here shared with us at one of the home shows that they loved the glass, loved the product. They loved it so much they bought 200 tons and put it in their yard. And I just said, really? I like it a lot too, and I have some at my house. I don't have 200 tons. But they sent us some pictures, and those are the pictures that you see in your packet, as well as on the screen. In addition, you know, some businesses have used the crushed glass as landscaping, as we have here. And there are some pictures in from Bridgewater Senior Center, Harrington's septic tank company. I think my favorite pictures, though, in the packet are from the Runaway Runway recycled fashion show that was held in Columbia earlier this year. Erin Blaylock is the young lady you see in the photo. Her mother is Julie Blaylock, who is a regulator with DHEC. And Julie was here on a visit and asked for a glass sample, and of course we gave her one. And her daughter designed and created the dress that she's wearing in that picture. She made it from an old curtain that she got from her grandmother, and then the recycled glass she hot glued onto the dress. So, and she placed in the top 19th. I think there were about 50 entries, and she placed in top 19th, and she was probably one of the youngest contestants there. She's about 13 years old. But she was excited. I got to see the dress up close and personal. It's beautiful. I mean, it sparkles and it shines. So just wanted to share with you some of the uses that are going on with our recycled glass. Last update I want to give you is on our recycling center of the quarter. We do this quarterly with our site attendants, usually at the quarterly meetings. This quarter ending June 30, North Myrtle Beach Recycling Center was selected as the recycling center of the quarter. Miss Deborah, I still call her Harwood, Miss Deborah McGill is our full-time site attendant there. And she definitely runs a very tight center. She's very knowledgeable. It's one of Danny's favorites to visit. And she will always, she is the same every day. And she's the same with everyone. No favoritism shown to anyone. Just ask Danny. So she's was very excited about that honor, and it's a program that seems to have been working really well with the site attendants. I did want to remind you, and I believe all of you have RSVP'd for our annual environmental banquet this coming Tuesday at 12 noon. We look forward to seeing you there.
Yes.
Ms. Murphy, are you and others able to monitor the MRF cameras with your smartphone?
Smartphone, on our iPads, or on our desktops. Yes, sir. I look at it at night when there's nobody there.
Ms. Creech?
The cameras that you have, do you have any solar-powered cameras?
We do have one solar power camera. It's the camera that's at the back of the facility. There was no lighting there already, and our best option, and we're always looking for a green option if we can, was to do a solar power camera.
Does it work as well as the
It
others?
does.
It seems to.
It sure does.
What would have been the price difference?
It was the solar power pack, I believe, was about $500 more.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The other thing is when these cameras send a picture, do they send it inside somewhere to be recorded? So if someone broke the camera or stole the camera, you would still have the footage of what went on?
Yes, ma'am. There is a security system built into it, and it is constantly recording to a DVD or DVR.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any on the landfill so that when someone dumps, it would actually take a picture of what they were dumping in the landfill?
There are cameras on the landfill, and Danny or Bill can talk
Bill.
to those more than me.
Okay.
Bill, you want to respond?
Yeah, we have 12 different cameras out there,
Mm-hmm.
and we also have 2 solar cameras on solid waste. They'll monitor every load that's dumped. A couple of them can be moved around, but they've been very beneficial out there. Like Esther, I check them all hours of the night. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you see somebody in here intruders.
Okay.
You know, a couple times someone blamed us. One of our customers blamed us for tearing up the bumper of the truck. We looked at the scale house camera, and when they came to the scale house, the bumper was tore up before they ever went up to the dump.
Thank you. Thank you.
Interesting.
Esther, the other thing I wanted to ask you was this. Have you tried to market the glass to the Artists Guild and different people? Because I've seen an awful lot of bracelets and jewelry, mosaic pictures in different ones of the Artists Guilds that they do that.
We have, I won't say that we've contacted each and every one, but we have contacted some of the local artists and encouraged them to utilize that in the development of their art pieces.
Okay.
I don't know if you noticed in the picture with Erin Blaylock, but her earrings that she had on, where she made those also from the recycled glass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, and I realize we would never produce enough of that to make a difference, but some of the outfalls on the beaches are really ugly where it cuts into the sand.
Mm-hmm.
Does the sand that we do from the glass, would it ever be good enough to use for them to cover some of that with the sand and sell it to the cities for the sand renourishment project?
I don't know.
Steve can probably answer that.
Steve is going
Not compatible.
to enough. Okay. Thank you.
But I think some areas in Florida have used it.
Yeah.
I don't know how compatible what they're saying was before.
Mr. Jones?
Yes, when we got into the glass business, we were looking at one time about adding another screen and getting it fine enough it could be used for glass blasting.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a big demand for that in Charleston. Did it die a nice, quiet death, or what happened to it?
It hasn't died a nice quiet death as of yet. It is in the extended budget. It's not in this fiscal year budget. I believe it may be in the fiscal year 2017 budget. And it would be one of those items that would be purchased if there was funding available.
Well, is there a market for it, first of all, if it's a profit maker?
We can look into that to see if there is a market here in Horry County that would look to use that.
I would care less where the market is as long as it still profitable after we get it there.
We can look into that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Campbell.
Use it for sandblasting and of course the Charleston area, I would think that would be, yeah. Is there not an industry that was looking about coming to Horry County and one of the processes they were going to use our glass? Have you heard anything about that, or is that?
I'm gonna let Danny respond to that.
Yes, sir, that was Ithaca, and
Oh, okay.
apparently Ithaca is not coming to the county, so we will not be dealing with them.
Any other comments? Any other questions? I don't know about the sandblasting, but it does make a good driveway. Next, Mr. Hilling.
You need a big truck.
Good evening. My report begins on page 33. On page 34, first thing I want to update, the first two things, I want to give operations staff a lot of credit. On our safety review this year, we did have 3 workman's comps. All 3 were really of a minor sort out there, and we just had 2 lost work days. I think that's pretty remarkable for the amount of equipment that we have. We have 300 or so trucks come in with the interaction with them all day, so a lot of credit goes to the operations staff out there for really, our safety meetings, we try to focus in. That's the main thing we focus in on, workman's comp injuries. I think they did a great job this past physical year keeping it limited to what we had. No one was really, really seriously hurt. So just want to recognize them for that. We did have, one of them was in the actual landfill division. The other 2 were in the yard waste division, mainly using a hammer. And I think we've all done that, hit our finger at one time hammering. So that's kind of was those 2 right there. Last month, I know some of the reviews that Mr. Knight had in his things, he talked about, you know, we went over 1 million pounds of carpet, but I really want to kind of focus in just on what we did. We actually did carpet and padding. We set up a goal to do 1 million pounds. We did 1,197,680 pounds of carpet and padding we recycled last year. Mr. Martin and Mr. Calhoun and the C&D processing folks over there really put a lot of effort in. I want y'all to know that. It got close down there toward the end, but we had some last minute loads we were able to get out of here. Last year, the previous year, as you can see in your board report, we only did about 847,000 pounds. So we bumped that up by 300,000. So we were really, really proud to get those numbers out, and that program's going real good. A lot of hard work by staff to make that happen. Last month I didn't give you a driver of the month. We had some other things, so I want to make sure we note our May 2014 driver was Lee Livingston from Holmes Farms, and our June 2014 driver was Anthony Rutledge from the city of Myrtle Beach. Those folks work with us really good out here. They're safe, courteous, get along well, give good information to the scale house, and work with our operators really good out there too. So well deserving. Their pictures are part of your board book, and also at the end of their pictures right there, and I like to do it a couple times a year, put that little collage in there, 6 months of our first 6 months winners, and we'll come back in January and give the full year. So it's that program continues to go good, and they all seem to be pleased and happy. I don't know if they get the red carpet treatment like y'all got tonight with your picture, but they're always smiling usually when we get their picture. And lastly on our project, and again encourage all of you to come out and see the closure project of the 30 acres out there. We'd be glad to take you around. Mr. Campbell came out last week, took him around. Anytime you want to come out, just come on. We'll find a way to get you out there. The project is going good. King is doing a good job. They are on schedule. They started putting liner down the 1st of July. We did have a little bit of delay in there. There is some weather days, but Tropical Storm Arthur came through. Everybody knows about that, but it wasn't a real big deal. It didn't affect the liner at all, so the project is going good. I do have some pictures in there. Hopefully you can see those. The first one is way down south. You can see the amount of liner that's put down there. The next two pictures, just wanted to show you, there's pictures of panels in there. The first one you can see is kind of a long stretch of 3 panels right there. They are all welded together. And the next panel, where it has P34, just so you'll know that each panel is recorded by the quality control engineering firm out there, and it is marked on the engineering plans and drawings. So where each panel goes, if there was ever any problem with it, it is noted there, so we have a history on each one where they go. The next one is kind of a long shot over from our solid waste till. You can see just the liner has been placed out. Kind of a long angle shot right there, but that's kind of about 4 acres that they had on that front side right there. And then the next picture, you can see the geocomposite netting starting to go down. And they've pretty much finished that. They're getting real close. Hopefully they were trying to finish all that on a full 12 acres today. Trying to get it done, and the liner people, they'll be moving out. We'll start to put a lot of soil on the geocomposite, some of the other lumen out there, and the liner people will probably come back in a couple months, but it's going to take that long to get 42 inches of soil on there. And then the last one you can see, just that front side, you can see that geo net being put on the liner right there, and again, that's being placed over the full 12 acres. When I submitted this report, they hadn't started putting some of the downspouts and all that out there. You can see them going in and some of the gas vents. All that's taking place right now. And again, King's doing a good job. We're on schedule, and everything's going well with that. So, any questions?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm assuming our engineers are happy.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments from Mr. Hilling?
Mr. Chairman, they are, and they do have daily inspection. The engineers have an inspector on the job every day.
Yeah, they're out here every minute they're working. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Finance.
Good evening. The financial reports begin on page 49. Just want to remind everybody that when you're looking at these reports, we have not closed out for FY14 yet. So this is just kind of where we were when we prepared these reports. There will be a final report, of course, when we finish our audit. So just want to kind of keep that in mind. Looking at page 50, one thing I did want to kind of call to your attention in the middle of the page is the tipping fees, where we ended up percent of budget. So you can see solid waste is at 104, almost 105% of budget. Yard waste, 127% of budget. And of course, our mixed construction is only 90% of budget. You shouldn't see any changes in that. That is where that'll end up for the year. So feel good about our solid waste and yard waste. Mixed construction, of course, is low like we anticipated it would be. The recyclable sales, as you can see, ended up at 97% of budget. And the landfill gas at almost 97% of budget as well. So page 52 on the income statement. As you can see, our total revenue ended up at 94, almost 95% of budget for the year. And our expenses as of right now are at 88% of budget. Like I said, what I anticipate you seeing after our audit is, like I said, there will be some changes in our expenses, but the revenues will remain the same. So for the year, like I said, our revenue is over expenses by $1,215,000. So I have to give a lot of credit to staff. They've really worked hard to maintain their expenses, knowing that our revenue was down this year. So they've done a great job keeping their expenses in check. As I told them this morning, we are closing out this week. Our auditor is planning on being here September 8th to get started on our audit. So they're going to try to get all the rest of their FY14 invoices in this week so that we can get everything closed out so we can begin our process of preparing for our audit. The other thing I had was just some updates, project updates on some of the things that we've had been going on in the finance department. First thing was the emailing of the statements and invoices. We currently have about 60 customers that have signed up for it. We did our first billing that way July 1st, and everything went smoothly, and we're continuing to get more and more in every day. So we're trying to continue to promote it. Every time we get a phone call from a customer, we're trying to sell it to them. So we're very pleased with that. That's worked great, and staff is thoroughly enjoying that. A check writing. We actually ran our first payroll checks live this week, and our first accounts payable checks live this week. So when you get your next checks, it'll have new signatures. It'll look a little bit different, but we are very excited, and that went really smoothly. So like I said, there again, staff has worked hard with us to, to get it all together, but it is great. It's phenomenal. We don't have to go to the county and pick up checks. We are excited. And last is the purchasing cards, the P cards. We finally got those in, got everything authorized with those, and we were able to give those out to staff on Friday. We sat down and we did about an 1.5 to 2 hour training with them. Everybody has to go through training before they can get a card. So everybody was excited about getting those. They've started using those this week. Their cycle doesn't end until Friday, so you won't see a report online, of course, until the following Friday. So, and I've informed all of them that there will be a statement online with their name, with their charges, so that way, if there's any questions asked of them, they're aware that it is out there for anybody to see. So hopefully next week from this Friday, when we put the check register on, you'll also see a statement on there for the purchasing card. So if you have any questions when you take a look at it, feel free to give me a call, like I said, and we can take a look at it. The last thing I've got that I left everybody in front of you is a direct deposit form for you to fill out. We're getting close to our cutoff date, which is around the 1st of September, so I wanted to give everybody time to get that form filled out. You just need to attach a voided check to it, and you can return that to Nanette. If you've got any questions about it, she can help you with it. But just wanted to remind everybody that direct deposit is going to be mandatory by the end of September. So if you can get that into her, that would be greatly appreciated. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Thompson, then Mr. Gray.
Ms. Bidding, on page 54, a couple line items on expenses. The yard waste department is one. I'm sorry, the landfill department, where fiscal year, it looks like the expenses exceed budget, but on the percentage out to the right, it's actually below 100%. Am I misreading something there? Same way with the board expenses up top.
Well, it does look like maybe it's calculated incorrectly. I'll have to check that for you. I'm not, like I said, I'm not sure, but I'll have to take a look at that. I do know the board is, like I said, I do know that their expenses have exceeded budget. And like I said, and I'm not sure, but I will check on both of those.
Is that section you see where it says Finance Department, 58,000 on the first level? Board of Directors, 331, and then the other, and budget is 35.
Well, wait a minute. If we're looking, let's see, Board of Directors, right? Their year to date was 42,000, and budgeted was 38,000.
Page 54.
Okay, gotcha.
So it should be over 100%. Yes,
Right.
sir.
And same way on the landfill
Same-
department, 4.2
exactly.
versus 4.0.
Exactly. Yes, sir.
96%.
So the percent of budget must have been not calculating correctly. I apologize for that.
Is
We'll
that
get that.
just a Excel spreadsheet that automatically calculates
Yes,
the
sir.
percentage?
And so it's obviously it's picked up something wrong. So I'll take a look at that and make sure we get that corrected.
Thank you.
Mr. Gray?
A couple of questions on the, for those that use the iPad, this is not a problem, but for me, I have to do like this to see the last column.
Yes, sir.
I'll be glad to pay the extra cost to get it in the black book like we used to have it, where I can see it all on one page.
Well, it's my understanding that they're not going to be producing books anymore. This is the last one you're going to get that way.
This is the last month of written reports. Effective next month, all of your reports will be on the iPad. So if you need iPad training, you need to get with Ms. Murphy. But that was something we had agreed on that some time ago.
We do?
Yeah.
Poor old Mr. Knight. We're giving it to him hard. No paper book and no
Yep.
and direct deposit. He's having a hard time with these changes.
We talked about going green as a board, and we.
I distinctly remember talking about going green. I do not remember saying that doing away with these were mandatory.
Yes, sir.
I agree with you, Mr. Jones. I'm so pleased to agree with you on something.
As a matter of fact, I'm put it in the minutes.
Mr. Chairman, the reason I've been using my iPad, and the last board meeting, my iPad would go off or go from the page I was on back to the first and keep changing. So I have given that iPad to Miss Murphy. She's going to fix it. But when it does that, it's kind of difficult to follow along. So maybe that iPad will work out better. I think it's got to be something wrong with the iPad.
Well, it could be the user.
Well, I would agree. I would agree with you 110%, except for the 3 months before I did fine, and it never did that. It'll actually blink off and turn off and go back to the first page when I'm on page 50. But you're right.
I'm just picking at you.
I am technologically challenged.
So you're saying that the vote of the majority is that there will be no more printed materials.
Right. Once you get your email with the packet in it, you can print it at your location if you desire. But
I can pay somebody else to print it for me and put it in a book form.
yes,
I'd just soon pay the Solid Waste Authority, but I understand you ain't gonna do that no more, so that's what I'm doing.
it's not you, it's us. We're not going to do that anymore.
Well, everybody but me, how about that? The other question I had was...
When there's a majority, it becomes us, not we and they. It's we are. We are going to do it that way.
I'm full well aware of your views about such subjects, Mr. Chairman. I understand that going forward, this is the last. There's no need for me to suggest anything about a paper report. There will no longer be a paper report, and folks like Mr. Jones and I will just have to find another way to get information. I understand. Okay. I know that in here, I beg your pardon?
Talking about black market report, say black.
I don't follow, but anyway, it's must be funny. I know that you have it in here, but is there a way, is there a page to refer to that will show our actual loss in dollars and tonnage of C and D for the months February through June?
I don't have that in here. I think I reported on it last time where we were. I know dollar amount, we lost around $211,000 from February through June. I don't remember the exact tonnage. Like I said, I do know it was $211,000 loss. There isn't a page in here with that, no, sir.
That is why?
There is not a page in here reflecting that, no, sir.
Can we have that going forward, or is that something I need to check with you about?
If the board wants that in there, that's not a problem. I can easily put that in there each month if that's something they want.
Well, I know that we budgeted $400,000 of loss of February through July and $800,000 in fiscal 15, and I think it's important to me anyway just to track, well, how well did we forecast?
Right, and I'm still tracking it each month, and right now, like I said, we still are maintaining the same amount of loss. It's about $25,000, $30,000 a month loss.
But is there a way to get a report on that?
Yes, sir. Like if the board wants one in there, I'll be more than happy to
Well, they're
start
not
putting.
going to want what I want.
Well,
I'm just saying, can I get it?
Yeah, that's like I said. Mr.
Okay.
Knight says that's fine for me to put in the board reports. I don't have a problem with that at all.
And page 62 in your book will show a chart that shows your tonnage.
Right.
Okay, well, can I get it in the form that you presented it last month?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's
Mr.
not a
Chairman, yeah, I was just gonna say, why can't we just go ahead and include it into the report if the rest of the board members don't mind?
I'd like to see it. Anything that we're having a loss on and looking at the figures and everywhere that goes, I'd like to see that every month.
Okay, that's not a problem. I'm tracking it each week. So.
Thank you. The third one was is there a similar way to figure up loss and gain at our factory, our C&D materials processing facility? In other words, we have X amount of costs and Y amount of revenue and X amount of loss or gain. Is there a similar way to get that report?
We can do that as well. We could give you, you know, what their expenses are each month, and like I said, and that's in here, as well as what the revenue is that's generated over there each month. Like I said, there is, if you look on page 54, that is the operating expenses report. As you can see, there is a C&D recycling department under the landfill division, which shows their expenses. And then also on the revenue side of things, they're also on the revenue report, we have the C&D recycling. But I could put something to you in more of a summary format, sort of like on that summary page that I give you on page 50, that summary page. I could put something along those lines on there, showing you the revenue and expenses for the month for the C&D factory.
Final question, Mr. Chairman, is similarly the total loss and gain at the MRF.
Okay. Want that on there as well? We can put that. We can put something together on that as well.
Well, we don't have to flip pages and be really conversant.
Probably just as easy to put it on this summary page that I do. That's easy for you to look at.
Thank you so much. That's all my questions, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions for finance? Other comments?
Thank you.
Thank you. Special projects?
Get this thing up here. On our recycling, I've got one thing to recycling incentive programs this month. You know, we gave $309,000 back to our customers this year, which equated almost $1 a ton for every bit of the C&D and MSW we hauled in here. Last year we did about 320,000. So it's right close to $1 a ton. MSW was about $235,803. Our C&D recycling incentive at the factory is about $63,000. And our C&D incentive, which stopped with all those haulers, is still continue to stay at 10. But we had budgeted around $400,000, and we issued out about $309,000. Any questions?
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Knight?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My report starts on really on page 69. We put together a timeline for the bylaws workshop and revisions, and of course Thursday is going to be our workshop where we'll complete the final draft and review what we've already been over in final draft. August 18th it'll come back to the board, and August 25th it will go to INR. We'll have to have a public hearing. It's required by our SWA bylaws, and that's September the 16th. And our final approval or resolution will be here September the 23rd, and it will go to County Council October the 7th. So that's going to be the work on the bylaws. And I have a handout for you. This is a letter to you as required by the bylaws, that we must put the board on notice that the bylaws are going to be changed. So this letter meets our guidelines, and there's copies of the bylaws in the packet also. So bring those with us Thursday, and we will hopefully we can get these back on track.
I have a question.
Yes.
When we met in July, and I had the July 13 board booklet with me, we were already, we were through. We had met 3 or 4 times and had changed things and discussed things, and our attorney had put it in very clear format, and we got sidetracked, and it was only recently brought back up. My question goes to, is there going to be, and Dr. Coakley, you answered this at least in part at the last meeting, when I asked the question, is there going to be a change with what we had, the work that we had done through July of last year? And you said, no, not at this time. That's what the minutes reflect. And so I ask you now, is there something, and we're only going to meet 2 days from now, is there something different than what we had proposed to do in July of last year?
When I said no, not at this time, I meant in that particular meeting.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, as we go through the bylaws, if there are issues and areas that we need to make adjustments on, we will do that.
But there's nothing now proposed.
I don't think there's any major changes in the bylaws. Now, we're not going to, and Ruth, we decided we're not going to add all that stuff on meetings in the bylaws. That will be, that'll be, and that'll be stated in there. So,
when you say stuff on meetings, you're talking about procedures, rules of procedure.
yes,
Yeah.
Quorums and stuff like that.
The rules of conduct, for lack of a better term, that were adopted in October of 2011, I think it was. That comes at a later time.
Yeah.
But all I'm trying to get at is that I'd like to be as prepared as possible for.
All the changes are in that envelope.
Are they different than?
They're 99% just like it was when you put it down. We put it down. If you said it was July.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
And so I don't have to be concerned about going through here for purposes of
No, you need to go through this latest packet.
I understand that, but I don't have to be concerned about looking for a lot of changes. That they're essentially the same as where we were.
And so it's redlined just from what it was previous, and new changes that we've discussed, 99% of it.
Thank you.
But everybody needs to read them, understand them, get back up to speed.
Thank you.
Yeah. I guess the bottom line is that they're not 100% exact. That's what I'm trying to get across. Your black notebook and what's in your middle folder are not 100% exact, but they are almost the same. There are some variations. That's why you need to go through the latest packet.
Are they identified in some way, or do you just really need to read very carefully? And
I would suggest that you just read very carefully. We're going to go through the whole process step by step.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to cover every single thing.
I understand that.
Okay.
But there will be some changes.
There will be some changes, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And we, Mr. Chairman, we also contacted the county, and the chairman has requested from the council, if they see any changes, anything needs to be done, that get it to us, and we haven't heard anything from any of the council on that.
Let me ask this question, please. There were 3 issues that as far as I was concerned, and I believe the rest of the board, there were 3 issues. Number 1, we'd only have one CEO, and that would be Mr. Knight as executive director, and that the chairman of the board would not be the CEO. That was clear. The second one was that the board itself could not by itself terminate the membership of a member. And
That's
I
been
see you
changed.
nodding your head, that stays the same.
No,
And the third one,
That's changed.
That changed. That has been revised to be consistent with a county ordinance. That's been revised. That should be in either red or should be highlighted in red.
but that was there from, was it, the recommendation could come forward from this board, and then the council
Would do it.
Right.
would
It would go to-
actually,
That
yeah.
actually would go to the council. That's right.
Yeah, that's the way we left it. There's been no difference there. And then the third one was that the dissolution of the corporation or the dissolution of the organization would be done in such a way as that it would involve county council.
Right.
Those were the three ones that I was concerned with, and you're saying that there's been no substantive change there.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions?
The public hearing had not previously been scheduled, is that correct? The September 16th? I didn't have that on my calendar, so that was just scheduled that.
We were
That's
looking at that, but we haven't officially scheduled it.
I'd like to, there's got to be so many days notice, and that kind of hit in the area if that suits everyone.
Suits me, I just didn't have it on my calendar, I want to make sure I didn't miss it, so I'm good.
Okay,
Ready?
yep.
The next point is on page 71. This is going to be an all-day affair on August the 6th. This is going to be the Technical Advisory Council that's required by state law will be meeting to upgrade the management plan. Membership is pretty much in place by a third being from the county and a third being from the municipalities and a third being from an array of private conservationists, those type people, and all that. Those are selected by the TAC committee. We have a list of the members in here. They will be meeting at 8:30. On August the 6th. Also on that date, at 10:30, there'll be a presentation by HDR of all the, as I've coined them, the magic boxes, ways of diversion of waste and what different people are doing with it. And I've encouraged the county council, and we've sent these notices to the league to be here, because I think that's going to be very important to everyone to understand what we'll be looking at, what we'll be attempting to select a solution that meets inside the parameters of Horry County based on the tonnage of garbage, bringing garbage into the county or not, burning garbage or not. And everybody's got their ideas, and what we are hoping to do this year is pick that direction and then study that solution. But as I've told some of the council members, no matter what we pick to do, it will not be as cheap as it is today. So there's going to be some costs. There'll be some ideas of looking at increasing tipping fees this year, proposed probably in next year's budget to start putting money aside for the way we've always done business here is they call in government accounting pay as you go. But this will this will be a big bite, especially if we do it on our own, but there's a lot of people out there saying they'll partner and do it, and we'll just have to see what we come up with. But this will be a very important day, and this TAC committee, they make a recommendation. Then it goes to the Policy Advisory Council, which is the mayors of the cities and the chairman, county council. Then it goes up to public review here. Then it'll come to the board, and then it'll go to each city and county for approval of the management plan. So there's a lot of steps in it, and this happens every 3 years. So.
The notifications were a little bit confusing to me. The committee's actually meeting at 8:30. The presentation starts at 10.
Yeah. The committee will be meeting as their committee.
Right.
Of course, it'll be an open meeting.
Right.
And then we'll complete that part of the TAC committee, and then we'll start the educational part with the elected officials and the community. We've invited a lot of people from the community that's shown concern and wanting to know more about it.
10 or 10:30?
10:30. I'm sorry, I said 10. I just noticed it was 10:30. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Committee reports. Chair recognizes none. Old business, lease of the A2.
Have some information on page 76. Last month, made you aware we had accepted bids for leasing the A2 property for farming. And we had received one bid. It was from Strickland Farms for $10 an acre over there. We've gone back and done some research. Nothing was approved last month after discussion. We researched some per acreage rental rates, and we found that leasing it for farming ran anywhere from $0 to $50 an acre, and that depended on what kind of shape it was in, and then how much land you were going to lease at the time. Just as a comparison, we also checked into what lease rates were for hunting, and found rates ranging anywhere from $5.26 an acre to $10 an acre. The one key thing over there at the A2 property, as you know, it's a storm debris site, and we have to mow that thing. We mow it twice a year, and SWA cost to maintain that over there, just the storm debris sites, is approximately $8,000 a year for us to mobilize and go over there and do that. So we took that into consideration along with the rates that we had gotten on farming, and staff sat down and we've put together a proposal for lease rates for the farming out there. We started out at $15 an acre for year one and proceeded on with 20, 25, 30, and 40. And as I said, the key thing, if you include the maintenance in there, what it cost us to go over there and do it, we really only have one mower right now, one employee that can do our mowing. So it's quite a task just keeping the landfill mowed out here. So if you take into effect the lease rate for the 108 acres in year one, and you also look at the $8,000, the worth to us is $9,620 for the first year. And if you go out through year 5, it's $12,320 out there. And again, your lease rates, they're all over the board. But a key thing for us as a staff, and please consider it, is the maintenance out there, the $8,000. And there's some other things that we do out there, but just keeping it mowed in good condition for, you know, emergency needs if we ever have a storm, that is right around $8,000. So our recommendation to the board is to approve the proposed per acre lease rate for the A2 property for a 5-year agreement for the purpose of agricultural farming and maintenance of the 108 acres, and that the executive director be authorized to negotiate a contract with a provision for a purchase out option.
Chairman?
Yes.
Bill, are you proposing that this is the reopen for bids, or to go back to Strickland Farms with this proposal, or how would that happen from here?
Yeah, go back to Strickland Farms. We did contact him, and he said if this was accepted, he would definitely have an interest in it.
At these rates, so
Yes.
he's consulted with these?
Right.
Yes.
How about explain that purchase out that you're talking about? That gives us the opportunity to,
If we, yeah, I think it's a 60-day clause. If we want to get out of it, you know, Mr. Knight could take care of that.
What do we do? What do we do about storm debris? The need for storm debris in the future if we're doing
Within
this?
48 hours, we take the site back. And we have that the same way we do at the Green Sea property up there. And that site is really beautiful right now. But yeah, that's part of the contract. We're within 48 hours, we take it back in the event of a storm if it's needed.
Would we have to pay for his farming if we did that? Would
No.
we have to pay him for his crop?
No, when it's cut off right there, it's like done on a percentage, and so there would be no cost to us at the Solid Waste Authority.
Okay, if the purchase out, would that cost us anything after 60 days?
I don't think so on that.
Depends on who's negotiating that purchase out, and I don't think we would.
Okay.
And that, I think that's just gives us an idea. If somebody comes in, you know, and wants to do something different with it, more in line with maybe the recreation, or maybe even the gun range. You know, if we get in there and the boy discs it up and gets ready, and then the shooting range turns into good. And I went down on Monday, and that goes back to Steve's committee next month. They didn't make any decision on that. So
Okay, I think we're one of the two.
we're the top.
Okay.
We're the top location.
Okay. We don't hire an extra person to do that, and we don't need any extra equipment. So in my opinion, I suppose, the gas that we use or whatever is what it really costs us to do that.
Yes.
And that can't be but so much for that. So I don't look at it as saving $8,000. We already have someone here, and we already have the equipment. One of the things that really bothers me is that there's not a proposal for what he's going to plant, and a proposal so that we can look and see what he actually is doing and decide if we like that. I don't like the fact that there could be any hunting on it whatsoever, since we don't allow this on any land. And what insurance policy and bond does he have that would hold us not liable for some of the problems he would have over there?
Insurance-wise, it'd be the same thing we have at the Green Sea property. We got a certificate of insurance. I think it's $500,000 for each incident, and I believe it's $1 million workman's comp if something was to go on. But they have to supply us with a certificate of insurance. And the hunting, we reviewed that last time, where there wouldn't be any hunting per se, but if there was, unless it was like a nuisance, and you have to contact DNR, and you had to get a permit to do that.
We don't have that for the man on the other property, do we?
It's in the contract, yes.
It is in the contract?
Right. Well, in the contract, it says no hunting out there.
Okay.
But there's nothing in there per se as like for a nuisance or anything. It says, no hunting on that property.
Okay, so there's nothing in the other that says if there's a nuisance, he could call DNR in?
No. We
Okay.
talked to him, and he hadn't had any problem up there. But
To answer
Well,
your
I'd
question,
rather
there's nothing
treat
in-
both of them the same. I don't like to have two contracts on farming problem, and you can't do that. And another thing that bothers me, that man has a lot of hunting property there. So I would prefer it be the same here as it is in the Green Sea property, that does not go in the contract, if in fact that's voted to be done. But those are my concerns.
Other questions or comments?
I will have one other comment to say. I really don't like the price, and I understand. My grandfathers and father and great-grandfathers were farmers. I understand what's going on here. But when you can rent land for $110 an acre, and I realize he would have to fix this, but when we have no proposal, we don't know what he proposes to plant. Then we really don't know what the soil would be or what his cost would be, other than some people rent property I have that has stood vacant for years, and I didn't make concessions for that. Whether that's good, bad, or ugly on my part, I don't know. But I just think the price is absolutely too low.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Danny, frankly, as you know, I was at the meeting.
Look closer to your mic, please.
Sorry. I was at the INR meeting. I think that was yesterday. But anyway, I don't think there's going to be a gun range out there, but for all sorts of reasons. But should it come about, would it coincide or interfere with this farming operation in some way?
Portion of it could.
Thank you.
Why would we go through, I don't know how long it will be before they decide on the site, or we would, if it was ours, that we would decide what we needed, and if they would agree with that, why would we even decide to lease this and have that man out there starting anything until they made a decision then on the gun range?
Well, they talking gun range 5 to 20 acres. This is per acre. You just cut that part out, and he wouldn't pay that part.
Oh, okay.
In the hunting situation, we had discussions with another farmer that didn't like the site because he would figure that the deer would eat the crops up. We came to this board to talk about nuisance hunting on the landfill. And that's not real easy to get. Some people seem to think it is. But if you got a nuisance permit and you shoot a deer over there, you don't bring the deer out. You don't keep it. It's not like it gives you an upper hand on hunting the area. But if there's a problem, we've got board approval for the people that we've got on permit for nuisance. And then we could probably do that if that's too much heartburn for the board, thinking that it's going to be hunting over there.
I talked with, lack of a better term, a game warden, but she told me that during hunting season you can't use a predation permit. You have to hunt. In other words, there would be limits, and you'd have to comply with the law and so forth and so on. So from September 15th to January 1, you couldn't rely on a predation permit where you could just go out there with AR-15 and hold them down like some of them do. And then also she said the same thing you did, that you can't take them off the property. You're not supposed to. I don't know who checks it, but you're supposed to just drop them dead.
Well, we turn the property over to wildlife management, and they check it pretty tough. And any of us that's over there's got to have a card. If they check and you don't have it, then you got some explaining to do, and that's helped manage the property. We had a meeting in this room with the adjacent hunting club with the game warden that was in charge of it, and he was pretty plain with them. If your dogs get over there and you have to go to get your dog, your gun better be in your truck locked. So it's managed pretty tight. But it's the whole thing's basically up to the board. But I'd rather see him diss that property than us having to bush hog it in a month or two. But that's totally the board's call.
You've got a recommendation coming from staff. No further comments or questions. What's your?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Bill, that you consulted with one or two farmers, or just one farmer, or one guy tells you that he's not interested?
Yeah, staff called around and we talked to 3 or 4 different ones. I got some information. Mr. Martin knows quite a few farmers up there in the Anna area, and he researched a little bit and gave us some rates also. Ms. Todd's here. She's pretty well versed in farming also. She called around some different places up there and got different rates, contacts she knew.
But we only got 2 bids, even when there was no minimum bid, correct?
Right.
So.
Well, we only got 1 bid actually.
Well, I'm sorry.
But there was
2
at the
interested
pre-bid
parties
there
that-
was two
right.
farmers here for that.
But it was publicly
advertised.
Yes,
advertised, and so anybody could have
yes, sir.
put a bid in if they wanted to.
The other property up in Green Sea, did that farmer give you a proposal on what he was gonna plant?
I think he did, didn't he, Steph? Yeah, once we sat down to do the contract with him, he told us, I think he gave us a list of what he was gonna do up there.
Okay.
That could, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
that could be added to the as part of the contract.
As long as it's legal. What he's growing.
I hear where you're coming from.
Mr. Chairman, because of the limited liability and the removal of the expense in addition to some revenue, I would make the motion that we accept staff's recommendation on going back and trying to get this under contract, under the terms and conditions.
Second.
Probably moved in second that we would accept the recommendation and make some adjustments as we talked about. Comes a question, discussion.
Would that be with him putting a proposal together on what he's gonna do on the property?
We'll make that part of our agreement. He'll tell us what he's gonna plant.
Okay, and it stays the same as the same rules and regulations with the Green Sea property?
If you're gonna take hunting out, it'd be basically the same. He's got the same, if a storm comes, he's got 48 hours.
Okay.
There's no cost.
Yeah, I would want it to be the same.
The same.
similar,
I wouldn't want it to do
same
different. If it,
contract.
and as long as those.
The state no hunting. Yeah.
Right, as long as those 2 things are in there, I could see that.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposers? Ayes have it, so ordered.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Well, actually, we'll keep this one separate.
In view of last year's work and where we are at this point, The only committee that actually changed is the corporate planning, which is, change is required by bylaws that is made up of the officers. This is my proposal to you. You can make adjustments as you see fit if you feel necessary. This is my recommendation.
I'm fine with, I mean, I don't know what you're waiting for, it's your call, but yeah, I'm fine with that.
Me
If
too.
you're looking for, suggestions,
Do
I
we
have
need a
none.
motion of-
No, he doesn't need a motion,
Oh,
he makes it.
He makes the decision
No.
himself.
That's it.
Right, your decision.
Any other items for roundtable discussion? Yes.
Mr. Chair, I just wondered, I don't know if we have ever worked with the Grand Strand Technological Council, but they do, their awards, they work with a lot of charity and communities and with student innovators, and we do a lot of that, work with the students. They give awards for innovations, for new products, and I would like to think that we're going to need some new products here, even from the eco trash bags, if we actually do the food recycling. They have technology and education, their charity and community service, their student innovators, and a technology entrepreneur of the year. So if we do not work with them, John Sanders is the president. And I would really like for our recycling department and some of our groups to talk with them and see if they have had any new information on technology that would conform to what we need. It's the Grand Strand Technology Council. The president is John Sanders, and his phone number is 491-6060. But they do a lot of awards, they do a lot of conventions, and I think with us looking for different technologies and the different things that we have out here, that they would be someone great to partner with.
Okay, we'll pass that to Executive Director. We'll ask staff to look at that. Let's not forget the workshop on Thursday, July 31. As we have the packet for that meeting, let's make certain that we review that before we come in so that we can go through that as expeditiously as possible. Let's keep in mind our protocol and stuff as we go through those discussions for that process.
That is at 5 also?
It's at 2 o'clock. We're supposed to be finished by 5, so
Count me in.
and I've got some things scheduled after 5, so we're gonna keep it moving. We're gonna keep it moving. Let's not forget the environmental luncheon on Tuesday, August 5th, 12 noon. I assume all board members are gonna be present. If not, you've notified staff that you will not be present. The August board meeting date, remember we changed that to August 18. We did not set a time on that. It can be done earlier in the day if necessary, depending on your schedules. Any proposals for time?
Same time.
Yeah, I'd like to keep it the same time if at all possible. I have a conflict that afternoon.
Okay. That will be at 5:30. And there were some other dates that we had that we need to look at to make certain we're in line with the bylaws. So all of those dates, do we need to make those dates firm? The dates that were given to us in terms of.
Only date that's not firm was the, September 16th. Yeah, and if that's okay with everybody, that meets the guideline.
What was that date?
September 16th. That's the one we're talking now to determine whether or not we're gonna affirm it as that, based on, if we move through the process as we should, then we should be able to do that, yeah. The only reason why we shouldn't be able to do it at that point is for some reason we get bogged down on Thursday.
Or if INR changes.
Or if INR changes, yes.
Their date.
Works good for me.
Okay. Board meeting 23rd of September, I need to notify you now, I will not be present that day. My wife has demanded that she be taken on vacation, and that's the week she's chosen, so I don't have any choice but to take her.
I believe I do that.
So Vice Chairman will be taking over that day. Okay. Anything else?
Yes, sir. What was that word that we discussed, that if we had a fourth board member show up?
Quorum?
Well, a quorum is 3, of course. But there was a word discussed that if we had a member who just showed up on his own, inadvertent or a visitor or interested party or somebody who wanted to learn about it, there was a certain word that we used.
By chance.
Yes, thank you, by chance. In other words, there's a possibility that if we have good transparency and good notification of all of our subcommittee meetings, that by chance someone could show up, but he is not allowed to speak.
Correct.
Or do anything.
Correct.
Besides listen.
Right, because if he engages in a discussion, it becomes a quorum.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I don't think that's what by chance means. I think by chance means if 4 of you show up at a restaurant. It does not mean that you're aware that the other 3 are going to be there and you decide to go. Whether you speak or don't speak has nothing to do with it. By chance means an accidental gathering of board members, and they're not to discuss board business then.
I think we need to have a very firm ruling on that when we come Thursday.
We'll plan to discuss that.
Okay.
I really don't think that we should go on record as discouraging board members from attending business related to the board, so long as they do not participate in any discussion or voting. There's no conflict of interest, there's no violation of rules. All there is just interest on their part in knowing what's going on as it happens. But if we go on record, then whoever might show up by chance or by happenstance or whatever stands at the mercy of whoever enforces punishment for showing up when he's not wanted, or she might be. The other thing, you indicated that by now you would know who you were going to take with you to Dallas. Have you made that decision yet?
That's not my decision. It's whoever has requested to go. You can find out from the board members who's requested to go. I mean, I'm going. I know that.
Well, it had a place for you to sign, I thought. That, have you been on one before? And I think we were submitting the request to go to you as chairman, whoever the chairman is.
Well, I delegated that for staff to take care of, so they could take care of arrangements and stuff.
So the staff knows at this moment who is going?
Yes, I would assume so.
The only person, 2 people that I know right now is going is the chairman and myself.
Okay. Well, there's no way that we would be in violation of quorum rules.
There.
At Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah, on that trip.
Unless a couple of people just strolling down the street in Dallas by chance.
Mr. Chairman, did I understand Mr. Gray to say 3 made up a quorum? Is that, it's 4?
It's 4 that makes the quorum.
Oh, thank you for bringing that out. That throws an interesting light. For instance, the reason given for me not being allowed to participate in the Charleston trip, where we had 3 board members go, was that 4 would put us in violation. And you're saying no?
No, I'm saying
Well,
that
no,
is
he's
correct.
saying that's the case. You would have been the fourth person, which would have made it a quorum.
Right, yeah. I think the real question is whether or not board business was discussed, but I understand, from, if you want to do something like that, you need to do it by chance or happenstance or whatever.
Oh, when you're planning in advance, it's not by chance.
Well, there's other ways to find out what went on. Like you can call the guy that used to be head of
Art Braswell, and he will be here tomorrow. Charleston's coming up to visit our landfill tomorrow, so.
Art's a nice guy, and he was very forthcoming and very kind to explain to me all that took place when our visitation went down there. And that's why I voted in favor of the trial program that you suggested. I think it's an excellent idea.
There's a need for executive session to deal with a personnel matter. And is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Probably moved in second that we move to executive session to deal with a personnel matter. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pork wouldn't even go bad.
What time do we get the meat down to make sure it's cured right?
15 minutes ago.
Ms. Britton?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, an executive session was held, for discussion of personnel matter, and no action was taken.
Okay.
If there's no motion for any action in public session, then, it would be appropriate to move on to the next item.
Next item is adjournment.
So moved. Second.
We adjourn.